afternoon. This is the video newsletter for Buy Sell Short for Sunday, March 20th. Really tough week this past week. We had just a lot of things conspiring against the market. The main thing, of course, being the tragedy in Japan and the nuclear crisis just dominating the business headlines. News this weekend, the media looks like they're possibly getting tired of the nuclear story. We've got some possible progress in Japan, and we're probably going to start to see that nuclear issues sort of fall off the radar. We started bombing with the UN Libya this weekend, so that sort of picked up the slack on the headline news, and we've seen the Japan story sort of start to move away. Over the last week, we've seen the Dow drop 700 points, but since that low we saw on Thursday, the market is up almost 350 points. Granted, 90% of stocks have not really bounced with the overall market. It's essentially been a large cap bounce. We did have options expiration on Friday, which was part of the reason we saw such a large bounce in the large caps. And here we enter this week. Traders are still very fearful. Market Friday really sucked. I took most of the day off, was essentially hand sitting. Traders just not in a mood to do any sort of speculating on Friday, even with the market up the amount of points it was up. For the most part, you saw traders just sitting back, volume really low in the small cap stocks. But like I said, we needed to see the market do what it did, put in a bottom, start to see the Japan nuke crisis sort of fall off the radar a little bit, and you'll see traders start to get interested in speculating again. At least that's what we're looking for this week. Looking at the Dow 15-minute, actually, let's go to the Dow daily chart. You can see here on the daily chart, big bounce on the daily chart, but really, we didn't really participate in that at all. Resistance, as you can see on this bullish falling wedge, is at the 12K level. We've got the 20-day exponential, and we have the 50-day moving average, and we have the downtrend resistance line right there at 12K. So that is the level we're going to be looking at. We've got RSI bouncing off 30, stochastics nicely oversold. So, we could have seen a near-term bottom on this market last week. What we really need to see is the bad news just stop coming out. I mean, we had a lot of positive economic data, but it's sort of been lost in the wind with what's been going on over in Japan. SMH also got a nice little bounce back, but again, we're sort of in no man's land right now. We're high cash. There are a lot of beaten down stocks, but over the last couple of days, especially in the chat room, we've tried some plays, and they've just slapped us silly. So we're going to continue to do that this week. We're going to try some plays, really tight stops. I'm thinking they're going to start working. What was missing last week is traders just were not in the mood to gamble, and we're going to probably see that this week. Looking at the Russell chart, Russell held the 770 level, which is good to see. That has been a pretty strong support level going back to December. Again, on this, probably take a break of that 805 area to really see the money start moving into small caps. But on a positive note, all the indicators are nicely oversold here on the near term. And, that should give us some solace for this upcoming week. We don't have a whole lot of plays in action right now. PESI was one of our plays on the nuke cleanup, and that just kicked us in the nuts. Still holding it long, though. Still the same reason. Hard not to be in a nuclear cleanup stock, even if it's in the U.S., with all that's going on in Japan. I mean, all it would take is news that they're been asked to go over there and help, and, off to the races we go. Strong support right now, 135. If you threw in the towel on this one, I would not blame you at all. I'm hoping we get a bounce at least back up to the 150s, 160s, just on the chart. Aside from the fact that they make money, the stock is trading below where it was before the new crisis hit. So, these guys are profitable. We had a lot of traders jump in, ourselves included, on that big run early last week, and a lot of them got shook out over the last couple of days. So hopefully they're all washed out. We've got strong hands in, and we see some sort of dead cat bounce over the next few days. Now, the uranium stocks, which got decimated, No surprise, really, over the last week. Big bounce over the last couple of days. CXZ is one we got a nice little bounce out of on Friday. We jumped into this one 115, 116, closed at $1.38. And, all these uranium stocks have really, they've got some decent upside here, at least for Monday, I think. These are stocks that every time they've sold off or rallied have pulled back to their 20-day or rallied to their 20-day exponential. That's up there at the 170 area. I'd be really happy if we got 150s on CXZ tomorrow. Looking at URRE, another uranium stock. Actually, if we pulled up all the uranium stocks, they have the exact same chart. So you watch one of the uranium stocks, you look for a laggard, you jumped into it, which is what we did on CXZ in the chat room on Friday. Upside for URRE, probably another 20 cents up there to its 20-day exponential at 237. Of course, there's other uranium stocks, ones we've played in the past. URG, you can see the same sort of thing. And this one's actually lagging the other two a little bit. And if these uranium stocks really pick up momentum on Monday, this one could make a move for that 190 area. So definitely keep an eye on this one if you're looking for some scalp plays. NEI, again, deeply oversold, a stock very dependent on the market. But like I've said, this is a stock, even though we're down 15 or so cents from our entry on it, if we do start to see the small cap stocks move like I think we're going to see this week, this is definitely one that should at least give a move back to its 200-day moving average up there at $1.90. And if it gets up there to $1.90, which is where we entered, and you want to look to raise your cash and just wait for a $2 break, so be it. That is not a bad plan to have. Most of the stocks we've held, some of our favorites, just got beat over the head last week. And, oftentimes you'll hear me say, whenever the market gets a little bit iffy, go high cash. And the reason being, even stocks you really, really like BNX, whenever the large cap stocks get hurt, small cap stocks get hurt even more. The volume dries up because traders don't want to speculate, and the few sellers who are in there who are looking to raise cash really don't care what price they sell at. And that's what we saw on Thursday when the stock dipped to 26 cents. You had some traders just go, screw this, I've had enough, I'm selling out. And, oftentimes you actually need that sort of action for a stock to move back higher. Hopefully we get a press release this week from banks telling us how well they did on the business tax extension season. And, we'll go from there. Some scalps we tried on Friday. Actually, let me pull up the 15-minute chart here. OPXT, this is one we jumped into right after the open in the chat room at 245, 246. We ended up stopping out for a 2 to 3 cent loss, and the reason being, in pre-market, the other optical stocks, FNSR, JDSU, were up nicely, and then right after the open, they were down $1, which is the reason why we ended up taking a 2-3 cent loss on this one, which was a good thing for this stock. Ended up falling another 20 cents or so. So, even when you're going into these bouncer stocks like we are early on, you really want to keep your stops tight just for these very reasons. And the reason I actually jumped into OPXT after the open was, of course, its peers were up. When the peers started falling, the attractiveness of this trade went away, and being in a cautious stance, quick to sell, if we'd held on to it, we would have been bending over and looking for the Vaseline just on the action that was seen in that stock. Now, that's it for the video for the weekend, but there is another video coming right when I finish this. I'm going to do a video on the popper scan plays for this weekend, just to give you an idea how I play them, what to look for, and how to approach them. So if you've got any questions, thanks for all the suggestions you sent on the email suggestion I sent out. Some very good ideas that I'll be looking to incorporate over the next couple of weeks, and then check for the next video that should be following this shortly. And any questions, send me an email, hit me up in the chat room, or I will see you guys in there tomorrow. Goodbye.